Like this? This fine?
Yeah,
Okay.
bro, you're overthinking it.
Okay, let's go.
Well, I've never really introed one of these, so I guess it's just like, hello, welcome to the Truffles Podcast. I'm Luke, and today we're with...
Oleg Agarkov.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. No, dude, hold on. Okay.
All right, so basically, we're just going to go through your entire story, talk about how you got to this point, what led up to this, and then we're going to talk about future plans and advice you have for other people.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so first I just want to talk about like the name Berlinc and how you came up with that.
Yes, so right when I started making designs for like t-shirts and stuff, I didn't really know what I was doing, but it was very simple, minimalistic designs that, like very minimal designs. And the name, it reminded me of like Europe and Germany, especially like Berlin. I've been there a couple times as a kid, and I just absolutely loved it. Architecture, like styles, is very like simple and very like minimal, but it still looks crazy good. Like I love the aesthetic of like also like Swedish architecture, stuff like that. And so I just thought Berlin, it sounds European. It sounds like one of those brands like Balenciaga or something, or Burberry, stuff like that. And I guess just that's the name, Berlinc. Yeah.
Awesome. So we can talk further about your journey and like what really inspired you to create the brand.
Okay, so at first I wasn't into fashion at all, honestly. I was okay, let me rephrase this. As a kid, I used to dress very basic. Like my parents would dress me in just like the most basic stuff, or like not even basic. Now it's like popular, like Lacoste, stuff like that. But back then, no, it's nice. Lacoste is nice. But back then, they just bought me like the dumbest Lacoste t-shirts. They were just like a gray t-shirt with like a red flag, and it'd be expensive too. And I'm like, I don't know, I didn't want to wear that anymore. So I wanted to, I saw some kids wear Odd Future stuff, like Tyler's brand, stuff like that. And I was like, damn, those kids are cool. Like I want to kind of dress more streetwear like. And that's why I guess I started picking up that kind of style. And I didn't know many brands to buy from, so I just decided to make my own t-shirt. And I've had a little bit of knowledge on like how to use Photoshop and design some stuff, because I used to make like video game thumbnails and like mainly thumbnails for some people and just for my videos, and that's how I learned Photoshop, and then started making some very basic t-shirt designs and started printing that.
That's awesome. So next we should talk about what brands really inspire you.
Okay, recently or
what brand inspired you to create it, and then also you could talk about recently.
Well, I feel like the very beginning is maybe Odd Future inspired me. I don't know, like just that whole brand, just like streetwear stuff I'd see people wear that I didn't really know about at all, and I started visually just picking it up from people wearing it, and I'm like, oh, I could make something similar to that on my own, and get it out there, start selling it maybe, because I personally didn't know many brands like that, and I thought a lot of people are like me, where they see something, they think it's cool, but they don't they don't know where to even find that, you know. And then recently I've really been liking Yohji Yamamoto's stuff, especially his pants. Let's see, Simmons, Mason Margiela, the tags especially, is just crazy. But there's a lot of small brands that I think is like what inspires me the most. Just smaller brands like Bad Sun, Basket Case is crazy. Going to their pop-up next weekend. Let's see. Those are just some of the top. Pearled Ivory is a pretty cool brand. And I think there's a lot more. There's like way more, but those are just some of the top ones, I guess.
Mm-hmm. So when you were starting a brand, what was like the hardest thing you experienced, and what was the hardest challenge you had to overcome?
So the first thing that popped up to my head when you asked this is when I made those few like t-shirt designs. I think it was just three t-shirts, and I just released it, and I had like no one buy it at first, except some of my like friends and family. But I didn't really count that as like a real customer. But that was the most demotivating, is like no one was buying the stuff, and I thought no one liked it. Like, I'm making this, but it's honestly like garbage. But I kept going because it was like a hobby, something I enjoyed doing research on. And yeah, I mean, apparently some people like it now, so there's a lot of improvement in just making stuff. Practice makes perfection. Perfection doesn't just, come out of nowhere. It's like, what do you say? The people say like you need to put 10,000 hours into in practice to be perfect. That's something like that, which I definitely agree with. So yeah.
Awesome. I really wanted to just go through like how you got to where you're at, then talk about where you're at like right now. So next up I would ask is like, where are you at right now, and like what is Berlinc at right now?
Okay, so right now I think I'm at the most, or like at a very interesting stage where I got some following, some people that text me and say, I really like your stuff. Like, when are you gonna restock this or that? And that is just like the best feeling for me. Even if it's not like thousands of people, but it's still like something that means people like my vision, they like my craft. So right now I'm working on like that kind of inspired me to work on a lot more stuff, and just getting inspired from all these smaller brands that couple I listed, but there's a lot more on that list. Right now I've got like 10 different samples coming in, and really trying to just make some higher quality stuff, get in the denim game too, and make some jackets, stuff like that. Because mainly so far, I've made pants before, t-shirts, hoodies, but I want to make like, the avant-garde shit, I guess. Like,
talk about that. Tell the people what avant-garde is, and if they don't know.
Honestly, I don't know if I'm the right person to explain this, but it's like luxury, higher fashion, but more newer, I guess. It's not like an old school thing. I might be wrong. I don't know, but it's just a style that I've really been liking recently. It's like the Mason Margiela, Balenciaga, Raf Simons, all that. It's higher quality goods, I guess, like leather jackets that look super sick, and different kinds of pants. It's not just basic streetwear t-shirts, I guess, so I've been trying to move into that, I guess, a bit of a higher fashion, but I don't want to put it in that way because I'm not going to sell it. I don't want to overcharge people for like basic stuff like some brands do. I still want to like put a fair price on quality goods. That makes sense.
Another question I'd ask you about like currently is like how are your current ways you like sell your product?
Yeah, so it's interesting because like the whole day I've been trying to figure that out to how to like market hoodies and stuff that I recently released, and mainly it's just been Instagram and TikTok too. Mainly Instagram. That's where I get the most traction. But Reels obviously is what got me to where I'm at. Is like just consistently posting real short term content, but I want to move into long term too, like YouTube videos. Actually diving deeper into design process and just like the day to day life and the kind of vision and lifestyle that I envision myself living in like a couple years or something. And yeah, I want to dig deeper into that in like a longer format video, because short term you don't really get to tell a lot to people. It's just like not well, I guess nowadays like clickbait too. I don't know, but what was the question again? I forgot.
It's just how do you like
Market it.
Yeah.
Market it. Yeah, and right now also really good thing that I recommend honestly everyone that's starting a brand and they have truly like quality piece that they think is good, but also people around them think is good, because there's a lot of bias in like when you make something, your friends, your close or your friends and your family is gonna tell you like, oh yeah, it's really good and stuff like that, but truly sometimes it's not, or it's basic, or it's just the same as any other thing. So you need like a real I don't know, some real like circle that can truly tell you if it's good or not. And if it's good, if you have a good piece, then consistently posting that on social medias, but then also micro influencers. I feel like that's I'm trying to get into that right now, where I'm sending my products just for free to some people with 2,000 to like 300K followers, and they just post a couple reels or a reel or make a post and tag you or tag, or what's it called, just put your stuff in the bio, and if you have like a lot of micro influencers, people with like 5,000 followers, all wearing your stuff, then eventually the people will seem to like catch a pattern, recognize your brand on different little influencers, and so that's a way to get your piece out there, definitely. So that's how I'm trying to market it right now. Like I'm gonna send out a bunch of my clothes just to people for free, so they can wear it and post it, and yeah, people can see it, reach bigger audiences.
Mm-hmm. You talked about this like briefly, but you were talking about like when you make a reel, how do you get over that like fear of like getting judged or like stuff like that, and like how do you just like learn about making reels in that process?
The first thing that popped up to my head is just moving away somewhere far where you don't know anyone, and you just make you just make shit and no one judges you because you don't really know anyone, and you're just doing it. Honestly, that's probably the best way, is just to move away and create, have a safe space where you can just make stuff, and there's no external there's no like external judgment. But if you can't do that, obviously, like most people can't just like move away and do that type of stuff. But I don't know, if you have a supportive couple people that support you, like even just your mom and your dad, or a couple of friends that are like they're with you, they're there. Um, that can really help. Just maybe showing them at first, seeing what they think, um, and then not really. You just kind of have to not give a crap about what others think. It's like sounds corny and cheesy, but that's like just how it is. Like with any type of craft or anything, at first you're gonna be making some absolutely garbage pieces, bro. It's gonna be like god awful, or content that you're making. It's gonna be god awful. You look or like, not on the highest level unless you're some genius. That's yeah. I mean, I started making reels and TikToks, and it was. Now I look back at it and I'm cringing. That's just how it is. But that's what got me here ultimately, is like the progress. This kind of progress is only a progress because I started with making garbage. That's just how it is. Any creative process, you make garbage first, then you get all of it out, and then you start making good stuff.
Yeah, that's great advice right there.
Yeah.
That's like just perfect advice. And like, if anyone out there is watching this, like, you take away one thing from this, like that is like, I want to drive that home, like that point home. It's like you can't stress that enough.
I wanted to say one more thing.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
No, go for it.
It's like just consistency, how important being consistent is, and like not giving a crap about like what others really say or do to you, whatever. It's just like if you have a schedule of consistently posting or doing something, any type of craft, or you gotta upload reels or TikToks or whatever it is. At first you're not going to see any results. I mean, everyone says this, but it's so true. Like coming from personal experience, no results at all. Like I was saying earlier, when I just posted the shirt, I was like there's no sales or anything. And I got upset over that, and that's a normal thing. Like you're going to get upset at failures, at failing at stuff. But then if you just push through that, if you just keep on doing that same thing and improving and learning and improving, you're gonna be you're gonna get to some kind of a level where you're gonna be better at whatever you're doing, no matter what, if you just stay consistent and keep doing it.
Yeah, totally agree. Before we continue, I'm just gonna check on the cameras, make sure it's still like rolling and everything.
Go ahead.
It's good. Okay. Let's see. What else do I want to ask you before we continue? What are like new pieces that you're working on right now?
Okay, so
and then on top of that, like, what do you think like the future of fashion is looking like?
Oh wow. Right now I'm working on like a workwear type jacket, like a Carhartt type jacket, just with my own sense of style. And then there's a couple pairs of like pants and jeans that I'm doing, making jeans for the first time. So I'm really excited about that, getting samples. It just takes a lot of time, and it just mainly takes time. And then I've been trying to make, I don't really like making the same stuff over and over. So I've been trying to make like sweaters, which I've never done before. Some t-shirts and long sleeves with like proportions, like size measurements that are not very standard per se. Just experimenting with different with different ways of making clothes in general, and seeing how that goes. It just takes a lot of time for samples. I wish I had like a factory right here, and I could just be on top of it with all that, but Yeah, and then the future of fashion.
Well, before you answer that, I am actually curious, like,
Mm.
how do you come up with these ideas and these concepts? Like, what is that process like?
So it's all just inspiration, or not all inspiration, but a lot of it, a lot of the creative process in general, is learning from others. Older stuff, newer stuff, just consuming information, valuable like information about other brands, how they do some research, how they treat their fabric, or what kind of measurements they have, all that. I'm not saying I'm stealing it all, but it's like it's just how you learn things.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'd make a piece and then it would look similar to other brands, but it's like it's been people have been doing this for a long time, and someone in the comments or whatever, someone would DM me and be like, you're just straight up copying this guy and you're like trash and you have no creative, like whatever, dude. It's you can't really pay attention to those kind of people. But yeah, and then from learning all the different methods of creating like a clothing piece, you then kind of piece it together in your head when you're actually like sketching down a t-shirt or a sweater or whatever, and you're picking apart all these different things you learn and you're putting it into one clothing piece that you're making. And that's where originality comes from too. It's not just out of nowhere, like I just made this wonderful piece from and never done any research on any kind of stuff that's similar to it. It's all just piecing information together to create one product that's valuable to the market, to the people. Mm-hmm. And then the fashion future. It's a hard question. Fashion is, where did I even start? I think the avant-garde, or it's also like biased opinions, but like I've really been loving like the kind of getting into the higher fashion, studying the bigger brands, some older brands, and how they make their clothes. And for me, that's like the future for fashion, I guess, is like those expensive pieces, but they're expensive because there's been a lot of thought put into it, and a lot of it took a lot of time to make such a piece. So I guess slow fashion is definitely like upcoming, or it's not upcoming, it's been there, but it's like slow fashion is where it's at for me right now. Mm-hmm. Definitely not fast fashion, because that's just like you're just copying whatever the slow fashion stuff and making it on a bigger scale and for cheaper, like Shein and all that. So yeah, and it's not good for the environment and stuff like that.
One question that's just like been on my mind is like, do you have like a dream collab of any sorts?
I'm working on a collab right now that I'm very excited about. Can't say much about it, but it's gonna be fire. But a dream collab, with like an artist or like a brand or
anyone,
just anything.
Any brand, any person.
Honestly, it's not like some insane like collab, but for me, like doing a collaboration with like Basket Case, honestly, it's a brand I've been just loving, and their community is like I just love everything about it. Their creative process, their longer YouTube videos. I've watched like all of them. Just everything about the brand is like I'd love to do some kind of work with the creators, but like on a bigger scale. I mean, I would love to work with Kanye. I would love to work with Kanye. I feel like it would be very difficult to work with him, but also the way he approaches, like, you can think whatever you want about him as a person, but the way he approaches to his craft of fashion or music, whatever it is just like incredible. Like, he makes crazy pieces. He is a trendsetter in a sense. So, but like as a person, can be pretty crazy sometimes. But yeah, that's Kanye and basket case.
Yeah. Two just completely different like spectrums of.
Yeah.
But good answer nonetheless. Okay, well, another question I had is like, how did you manage, or how are you managing going to school and running a business? Like, how does that work?
A lot of I don't know how I manage it. Honestly, like the best case scenario would be like a proper schedule where, you've got the classes, you've got the homework you do at this time. Like, you have like a weekly schedule, and then you work on this time. But I don't really do that. I'm more like free flowing. Like, whenever I feel like something like an inspiration just hits me to create something, to make some cool piece, or I don't know, just like whenever inspiration comes, I work on clothes and stuff. But then there's a lot of sides of the business where it's not that interesting, but you have to do anyways. You just have to grind it out and be consistent with it, and those things can be boring, they can be whatever, not what you want to do, but they just have to be done. And same goes with school. It's like there's a lot of classes that I have that are just like, bro, I want to get out of here and do something productive with my life instead of being in this class. But those classes, again, I'd say I'm a pretty like good student. I have good grades, good GPA, so it's just a lot of just grinding out on both sides. And for school also, sometimes there are very boring classes that you don't really you don't want to be there, but then later on you realize that you actually learned some stuff from those classes too. Like, I took a philosophy class on like aesthetics, and thought it was cool, but then like thought a lot of it was just like, what am I doing here, spending like 2 hours talking about like a concept of, I don't know, some philosophical stuff. But then later on I realized like I picked up different things from that class that actually I use like day-to-day life, and I don't know, it's useful sometimes. But that doesn't go for math. I don't like math. I could not do math. Anyways,
You gotta calculate the number of inventory.
that's true. That is very true. Logistics, which I also don't like at all. Yeah, definitely.
I mean, continuing this conversation, like adding on that, like there's probably things you don't like in like when running your company and running like Berlinc.
Yeah.
Like, can you talk about like that and like how you do it, like why you do it?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously I'm in very like beginning stages of the business and everything, but it's like the most exciting stage, honestly. It's like you get to create, and I have a little bit of of following that can kind of give me feedback too, which is awesome. I totally forgot. What was the question? Some things that I don't like.
Yeah, why? Yeah.
Okay. Some things I definitely don't like is logistics. Getting your inventory. I like packaging and like shipping out products to people. That's not the issue. I mean like logistics. Also just like waiting for all your samples to come in, and like maybe you don't like a sample and all that, and then you have to make it again, and then logistics of getting your products shipped somewhere. It's also very nerve-wracking because if it's a big amount of clothes that's in thousands of dollars, it's like you're scared of losing that, or one of the pieces, or some of the pieces being damaged or something like that. So definitely that, but that, Jesus. But yeah, I've been trying to move, have a fulfillment center, do my packaging and stuff, just because I want to have a lot of my clothing be in stock instead of pre-order, and yeah, it'd just be easier if I have like a fulfillment center that does stuff for me. But it's also like getting in contact with the manufacturer, then the fulfillment center, and then all the little things in between, like printing this or that for this product, and then having it shipped there. That I'm decent with, but I don't like doing that. I'm definitely on like a creative, more of a creative side of things, designing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Since you're so like little, it's like the best time, and like I totally agree with that. I think like there was this one person that said, like, since you're so little, you have no one like to listen to. Like, there's no one telling you like,
Yeah.
hey, you need to stick to this brand identity. You need to do this, and you need to drop this collection. Then you have like this freedom that
Definitely.
you know.
Yeah, you're just like experimenting and I mean, doing what you like, I guess, putting it out there. And then the best part is when people start fucking with it, like whatever, you make something just because you truly thought, damn, this is cool. And then there's a group of people that are like, oh, wow, like I want to buy this, or I want to, promote this, or whatever it is. Like just people supporting you, even on small amounts of people, is like one of the best feelings, honestly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
Yeah, you touched on this a little bit, but like, how do you know when you like a piece? What distinguish like a good piece that you make from a bad piece that you make?
Okay, so that's very hard. Like this is why you need like another person or a circle of people that can judge your stuff and be honest about that judgment, not just like, oh yeah, I really love this piece, and then they don't really love it, or the opposite. Because like when I make something, I work on one piece and I think, wow, this is cool at the beginning, but then I'm looking at it more, I'm editing it more, and I'm like, fuck, this is not as cool as I thought, just because I'm looking at it for so long and that's all that's on my mind. It just kind of loses that special spark, or when you first see it. And it's, I don't know, it's still a hard concept for me, because I have a lot of ideas or a lot of mock-ups that I haven't put out yet, or haven't fully developed, just because I think it's not good enough. But I feel like sometimes you just have to get over that and just like put it out there anyways, just because there's gonna be people that like it, or like I was talking about, a small group of people, or just a friend that you can show your stuff to, that can say, hey, this is good, I think people will like it. Or you could, they don't just say it's garbage, they kind of touch up on it and say, hey, you could maybe improve in this part, or make this part wider, whatever it is. They give some kind of a feedback, some criticism, I guess, which is like the most helpful thing that I think. Also, I'm going a bit off track, but
it's okay, go for it.
another thing that's been like I feel like I have to improve in is taking criticism, because it's really easy for a person or for me to just like someone says it's they don't like it and just kind of block that out of your head, or just block that out of sight. But sometimes you gotta listen to them and uh, see what they don't like about it, because they can have some actual feedback that's like useful, some criticism that's useful. But there's also a fine line between people just shit talking just because that's who they are. They're just like, yo, your shit is garbage, bro. And then people who are like, you know, not the biggest fan of it. If you did this, and that, then I would like it. And then you also gotta, take that into consideration, think about it. And I feel like sometimes I don't do that, which I should be doing, is taking in criticism and working on that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. I guess we'll talk about like the future. Like, where do you see Berlinc in like 5-10 years? Like, what is your timeline looking like? And what what is this like a long-term thing that you see yourself doing in the future?
Definitely. I'm putting in so much effort into it now. So I'm hoping it pays off, or it is paying off. Like, I love what I'm doing right now, and I love the people that fuck with my stuff. Like, it's been great, honestly. But in 5-10 years, definitely want to keep working on the brand and improving. Like, this is just the very beginning. I see. Like, I mean, I haven't made any crazy pieces yet, like some runway statement pieces, stuff like that. I'd definitely love to do that in the future. In 5-10 years, definitely would love to have some pop-up events, some runway shows with pieces that I designed with a team that take a lot of time and effort. And in the future, one of my biggest goals is to have a creative team that it's like, a second family you go to, where you're both, or your whole team is so passionate about reaching a certain goal, or making clothes. I don't know, just like having a team of creative people that you love, and they love you, like treat them right too and everything. And I was gonna say something else, I forgot. Yeah, having a team. And another thing that I've been really wanting to do recently is a pop-up event with like some DJing and some just like clothing all around the place, different samples, unreleased pieces, whatever. Just people having a good ass time, man. Just like fashion and music combined is like beautiful. So definitely a pop-up event in LA or New York or something, or like Europe would be crazy. Let's see, any big other big goals. But yeah, just having a team, I think, is just my number one right now. That I can also support people through, I guess, my vision. It's just like looking back in 5-10 years. I want to look back. I want to sit there in the office, look at my team, and then kind of like back at some pictures or some first projects I've ever made, and be like, whoa, this is like a journey I've came and started with just by myself, and now it's a big thing where it's like, people are dependent on me, and they support their families with the brand and everything. I don't know, it's something like that.
Yeah. No, I feel it. Yeah. I get it. Yeah, that was pretty solid. I think I don't have much else to ask other than like I actually have two other things to add.
Okay.
The first one is like what advice do you have to give to like people who are starting a clothing brand look up to you and are trying, want to hear some advice.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm put more emphasis on this, but consistency. If you have a goal, if you have a vision, because this was me at the beginning this was me in like high school, where I felt like I wanted to do something creative, something where I can put out my vision and just and have people like it, and just keep working on that. And clothing was my way, but this goes out to like any type of work that's maybe not considered like now as like the safe job or the safe route. But like if you have a vision or a goal, just do that and be consistent with it. Consistency, super big part. If you're not consistent, you're not going to get anywhere unless you get lucky. It's like just start from scratch and keep putting in hours and hours and hours into one thing. And at some point it's going to grow. And another thing would be, don't get too upset when things like don't work out, because I'm very like, I'm a pretty emotional person, so whenever I had some kind of a fail, I would get like super upset and down, and would like blame myself. Like, I could just do this so much better, or I could have done this so much better. But you can't really like think that way, because you learn the most from fails. Like, failure is like key to learning new stuff, obviously. Like, people say this all the time, but it's like true. Put some more emphasis on that. Consistency and just, don't get too upset about fails, because that's when you learn the most, definitely. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right, the last question I have is just like, what is coming up for Berlinc and what is coming soon?
Dude, yeah. A lot is in the works. Like, a lot. There's a collab that's coming with just a genius graphic designer that I love all his works. Not gonna say too much about that. Still in the works, but that should be coming soon. And then right after that, I'm working on a collection. There's a lot of stuff in the works. I talked about it earlier about all the samples. So I'm super excited about that. Let's see. I want to do a pop-up soon. Probably next year. Definitely like next year. I want to do a pop-up. Have a bunch of people. Have just an awesome time. DJ, clothes, just all around the place. People just having a good time. And I'm also working on like a spring-summer collection at the same time as the winter collection. So there's a lot in the works. It's just takes time and effort, especially when you got school too. It's like you gotta divide up the time for both things. But yeah, a lot of new stuff is in the works. Yeah. So I'm excited.
All right, awesome. Thank you for doing this
interview.
Yeah,
I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
All right.
Fuck yeah, dude. Oh yeah, man, that was awesome.